Hi guys and welcome, this is Crob and this is the tutorial on how to assemble and transform Firestation. Now I prepared here everything I used to prepare the figure after it's been printed. So I usually have tools like this to remove supports and to cut plastic filament and pieces that I need. For the assembly, we will need some glue. I use instant glue because I'm not patient enough. I have a nail filer. This you can buy cheap at any store really, Boots or similar. Some knives, sometimes you have to reach into and scrape off some bits. And then my trusty nail filer that I use to adjust some of the pieces that may print a little bit different from what you're expecting. On top of that, you might need some filament pieces. There is some orange, a bit of red that we need, just a little bit of blue, and a little bit of black for some of the joints. Let's focus now on the pieces. So this is what I would recommend to print this figure like with the colors. If you have, of course you don't have to print it with the same colors. You can, make your own variant or whatever, but this is what will make the figure look the most like the original 80s toy. So we have helm, the arm, the pieces for the tank, the fire station building, and the legs all printed in red. We have the road in orange, the cannon and the tower bits in orange, and we have the garage door in orange as well. The garage itself is two parts actually. There's a peg here that is already attached. It's easy to assemble as well. I'll show you, but there's two parts in blue, and then you have an elbow, the face, another joint for the arm, the crotch area, the tank treads, knees, and feet in black. I like to print the feet in black, but I could see people might want to print them in red as well, just to have the tank mode to look completely red. But I like to give it a bit of detail with the black, even in tank mode, and I think it looks better in robot mode. The first thing that I would do to assemble the figure is to start with parts that require gluing. So there is only really a couple of parts, and not necessarily all of them need gluing, but the face comes in two different bits because I like to see that color difference on the face. I had to say, before I started the video, I already tested all the ports and all the connectors, making sure that where pieces should go are fitting. For example, we have this port here being the port where the head goes, so you want to make sure that when it goes on, it stays on without falling. Another example will be this piece here, where the cannon goes, and then you want to make sure that the crotch fits on and stays on safely as well. So that's all for now. So obviously we said we're gonna glue the face, and it shouldn't need a lot of glue either. We're just gonna put a couple of dots here, a couple of dots at the back, and voila, done. Face done. Let's put it aside to rest. Now there is the leg pieces come with tank threads separate. Now they kind of fit snugly and they don't maybe require gluing if you don't want to, but you know, for the sake of, you know, it's not gonna fall, then let's put a couple of dots of glue here as well. And voila. I'm not gonna show you all the legs because that would be boring, but I'll just do it off camera. And voila, all the legs have their tank threads attached now. So that aside, we will need to make sure that joints and things like that they fit snugly and they have some friction. Unlikely, my elbow printed a bit thin compared to what I was expecting, so I might reprint it, but you want to have a little bit of friction here so that when you hold the pose, it really holds the pose, otherwise it's just going to be a floppy mess. This is a danger with printing with filament, that parts are going to be a little bit on the loose side, but if you give it, you know, a little extra width when you're printing to this piece and make sure you test it like this before you assemble it, then you're going to be fine. So I'm going to put the pins in, but not going to glue the pins so that I can replace this part after this video. But we're going to glue the filament for this joint here. Now the other thing that you want to test is that the joint fits in here snugly as well. It does have some friction this time, so that you can see it's already holding the position without me doing anything. And you want to make sure that when it folds, that it goes nicely into that slot. So mine is a bit long, so I might want to sand it down a little bit and make sure that it fits there better. I might actually show you this because I really like this tool. This is wireless, rechargeable with USB-C, so you know, if you have a charger cable for your phone, you can recharge this as well. And it comes with 3 powers: slow, fast, extra fast. I usually just go extra fast because it's the most powerful. And then you have several heads you can use for this tool, but usually I've found that the ones that have a bit of an angle do a better job, and I'm using this one right now because it's the biggest and more powerful, let's say. But there are different ones that have different shapes and different reach into your crevices, or if you're just leveling something, there's very flat ones. So yeah, there's plenty of choice for whatever you're trying to do. You can find this tool on AliExpress, Amazon, or the likes, but AliExpress is going to be cheaper. So now we got the piece sand down a little bit. You can see it's going to now go in here and fit all the way through. Good. So now we can take some filament. I'm gonna put it there first. We can get some filament. I'm gonna use red because that's what I'm gonna, you know, look from the outside, and push it through. I tend to leave the holes being fairly large for the filament so that it's easier to push things through. If you cannot push things through, it means that maybe your support settings printed something through the hole. So again, you can use the sander or the tool that comes with your 3D printer to clean the extruder, for example. It fits through as well because it's the same size of filament, but it's metal, so you can push it through and try and see if there is something lodged in it that you want to remove. So now this fits snugly, as you can see, holds the pose and is probably gonna hold the weight of the whole arm or any weapons you attach to it. So I'm gonna push this out a little bit so that it's snug, and then get the trusted clipper tool, remove any excess. We can sand down that bit a little bit so that it's nice and flush. As you can see, want to try and avoid damage to actual parts that you don't want to sand, but that's going to be good enough. And then you want to put touch of glue. So this glue is probably going to leave some discoloring on the plastic, so we might have to come out with the sander again and remove the whitening of the plastic that comes from this type of glue. You also want to make sure that you leave your piece to dry in a way that the glue is not going to go into the bits that you don't want to. But this is done. So we're going to repeat the process for other pieces as well, but I'll show you in a minute as I do it off the camera. So here's the arm all assembled with the filament. Something else I want to mention before I glue it is I'm using bits of filament that actually came off from when I was printing, between prints and things like that. So save any filament that you're using for printing, and then I don't know, maybe your printer filament snaps or something like that, or like I said, you're changing filament and you need to snap away bits before or after you're printing. So these pieces that usually go into the bin are precious when you're building figures. They use filament as pin joints, so I always save some, and in this case I had to cut off some bits from the actual filament, but generally I have storage of all of these bits of filament. The other thing to know is this actual elbow piece, there is a specific orientation, otherwise the filament doesn't fit through. So maybe put all the filament through before you're gluing, like I've done here, so that you make sure that everything is fine. So again, a little bit of glue. Just to lock the filament in place, and this is done. We can leave it to dry. Now these bits don't need anything done to them other than sanding down and making sure that they fit under the feet. So they're gonna stay snugly in this position in tank mode. All is good. And they're gonna be on the shoulders in rubber mode, and that's also good. For the Firestation, I will make sure that the joints for the arm fit through these holes, because you will see that it's gonna be needed, although you don't see this piece in rubber mode effectively. Also, this is used for the turret to lock in, so you can test this and make sure that mine is a bit loose, so I might put some nail polish on it. But yeah, there are positions where it locks more securely apparently, so probably this is not round shaped as I was expecting. I might need to fix that, but otherwise you have this piece here connects here, this goes into the leg, so you want to test that as well. This will hold the head when it's not in rubber mode, so you also want to test that once the head is dry. And we're seeing the port here goes in the cannon, but also goes into the leg when it's in Firestation mode. The garage door and the garage. So this pin here is actually designed to lock in place inside the garage. So depending on the quality of your print, the bits in here will be able to lock in place out of the box. I had to chop off a little bit of mine so that it fit through, just to be able to put the piece in here and then push, and it locks in place, and then you can fold it down, and that's the part done. So when it's in rubber mode and it's in Firestation mode, you'll have this piece folded down. For the tank mode, you're gonna need this up, and you're gonna push this through the leg. So you want to test this going through the leg, and the other peg here is gonna go through the leg as well. But for the garage assembly, we're gonna need to put filament through there, and this is quite snug, it's quite loose, so there is not much friction here to hold the piece up, but it's gonna come from the filament itself this time. So we don't really need big pieces here because you can just pull a little bit of filament through here and a little bit of filament through here and glue it, and that's it. You don't need to go all the way through. My piece printed with support, so there is some debris in there that I've not cleared. I don't need to clear it. If you don't want to, you don't have to either. So I'm gonna push this through until it goes all the way through. I'm using the nail filer as a surrogate for my finger because the filament will punch a hole through my finger, so it's more like a shield. Here we go. So same as before, as you can see, we test it, make sure that it closes all the way, and the tricky part is opening this bit. So I usually just open this and then maybe push something through, and that opens it up enough. And then it kind of opens this way as well. Again, clearances may vary depending on your printer. I would recommend that if you want this to open all the way, that you sand down a bit this part. Personally, I'm not gonna display it with this part open, so either it's gonna be folded in or it's gonna stay like this. Clipper is here. So once again, clear out any extra bits that you don't want to see. My clipper is not catching that, so I might need to sand it down. And then this way, put my finger on top so that it doesn't shoot into the stars. But I'm gonna sand it down and glue it, and I'll show you in a moment. So again, this is now glued. It uses the filament for a bit of friction, so it holds the position. If you want more friction, then again, nail polish is your friend. Otherwise, personally, I'm fine with this. Now, let's do the other arm. We got the tower. Now, this piece comes a bit shorter than the other. In theory, so it should just snugly fit through when it folds down like that. If you have any problems with the piece, let me know in the comments on calls or anything. So this one is gonna need orange filament this time, and as I said, I already prepared the pieces and put the filament through. Although sometimes they like to fight. Here we go. I'm gonna chop this bit. And then again, you want to make sure that the elbows are fitting through both the arm and the forearm before you glue them. As you can see, I don't really need to do excessive force to put the filament through, but this time you can see it's already holding the position, this elbow. It's a bit thicker for some reason, so a little bit more filament, and yeah, I put it the wrong way around. So how do you remove filament? Well, with some patience, so I'll do that off camera. I forgot that I could zoom in the camera, so oops. So you want to make sure that, yeah, you check the holes are, you can see through, and you know, the filament will go through without problems. And then with the other arm as well, you can easily see that you can see through both holes. So now we can put some filament through. Number one. Number two. Let's see, snugly there. That one is through. We're gonna sort it in a second. Here we go. Nice and snug, and you can see that this one holds the pose nicely. So that's what you want to see. You want to see that, you know, you're shooting your cannon and it's holding up. So once again, a little bit of sanding down and glue, and we're done with this piece as well. So that's it, sand it down. I'm gonna put some glue here. Something to keep in mind on your printed figures, in my opinion, is the orientation of things as well. So when you're printing something, try and understand how you're going to display it and how it's going to look depending on how you print it. What do I mean? This piece is going to be the arm, so this is going to be the front, and this is going to be the back, and this is going to be inside. And you know, in the various modes, this bit is the one that you see the least. So maybe when you're orientating your pieces to cut them with your slicer, think about that as well, because if you leave that printed like this, then all the ugly bits might appear on the side that you see the least. So again, depends on the quality of your printer. If you're printing with resin, might not apply, but if you're printing with filament, as you can see, there is always some difference on the side that it's face up and the side that is face down. So you know, that's just, you know, trick of the trade, let's call it. So we need to leave this drying. I'm gonna leave it upside down like that, so that we got that done. The road is another piece that I want you to think about how you orientate it when you're printing it. I print these roads face down, because then the texture that you have on your bed printer is going to show up on your road as well, and it gives that extra little bit of texture. So that it's a neat trick. In this case, he also picked up some dirt from the bed, which, you know, adds a little bit of look to it without painting it. And so this is the piece that comes with it as an adapter. It's also got a 5mm port. It's a bit short because I designed this to be usable with old figures as well, so I wanted it to be able to go into any 5mm port. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go, but in theory this piece is, let's say, universal with any of the hearthrise or other pieces that have this connection. So you can connect this to, you know, on the other side, you could have, I don't know, Omega Supreme, or you can have this guy as well. So I actually printed extra rods now for him as well. As you can see, they fit with the port. So yeah, you can knock yourself out and really build a bigger, more interesting city, diorama, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, this is just plug and play, so all is good. Now we got the black pieces for the legs. So let's start with this bit. Now these are all 5mm ports as well, so that might be interesting for you as a, you know, playability, that, you know, you can do what you want with it. But yeah, the legs are just 5mm. You want to make sure again that they're nice and snug, because you want the toy to hold the pose, or, you know, if you're gonna do a high kick, it's need to hold the weight of the figure on the leg. We're gonna take these bits, and I recommend that you keep in mind, because this is not symmetrical, let's say. So the pegs here are towards the back, so that when you build rubber mode, the legs are a little bit further back into the figure, because it's quite a chunky figure. So we got that, and then the legs, so here you want this peg to be towards the front, okay? So when I put this together, I want to make sure that it's oriented towards the front. Again, these are a little bit loose fitting, but most of the time the toy is just gonna be standing, not doing splits. So hopefully, you know, this that I printed is gonna be good enough, and the filament is gonna add a little bit of friction. So sorry, I was a bit off camera there. So yeah, they are not, let's say, holding the pose. I have to hold it myself. Oh, they're a little bit, they're holding it, but yeah, the weight of the leg is gonna move them down, but it's fine. So going back to this, so I said you want to make sure that this piece here is going to receive the one with the peg facing to the front. So we can use black filament here because it's all black. I can hold it in place for a moment like that before we go on, and voila. So now I'm gonna chop this off and glue them. Again, you want to make sure that the glue doesn't go through, otherwise it's gonna hold the whole piece in one position. You want to be able to lift this up and move it, so you just want to make sure that the filament glues to the outside. Something else to consider for this is that straight filament might not actually be the best. If you get filament that has a bend in it, it will add the extra friction that you need for the part. So in this case, yeah, because the part was a bit loose, I put a bit of tilted filament, and now that holds a bit better. So it adds almost like a spring to the joint. So now we leave that to dry, and we get to the knees. Now the knees have also specific orientation, and that is for a valid reason. Now, as you might see, this piece has an indentation here, because when the knee folds in, it needs to leave that space so that you can plug something through. Now, you might not need that hole on both legs, depending on what you do, but I wanted to make sure that both legs were somewhat symmetrical. It was easier to handle, and yeah, it's just a nightmare to handle in the files if they're not symmetrical. So it was easier to do that. I think it adds playability when you use it as a weaponizer. You have an extra port. So again, you want to test your ports. You want to make sure that things fit through. That one might need to enlarge a little bit more effectively, but as it's not being used actively, I haven't done yet. So then we're gonna have the foot down here. You want to make sure that you clear this bit. Make sure that you clear any extra that you might want for the ankle tiltage, but effectively the ankle is not gonna tilt a lot, because by design I only think that you're gonna need maximum, you know, this for an A pose, but if you wanted to do it all the way like that, you might need to modify the files yourself. You don't need it. You don't need it for the figure to display. This is pretty good. And again, the foot already has a lot of friction, as you can see. It's even holding the pose without me putting the filament through. But you know, you don't want the foot to just be foot loose. But you know, I prefer to have my feet attached to the body. So we're gonna put some filament through there as well. Now for the knee, let's start making sure that we can have it go through. I think I'm gonna do this bit off camera as well. There is nothing different from before. The only difference between this and the other joints is that this is not gonna go all the way through. So you have to push it through until you see that it's locked in place. There's gonna be enough in there for the filament to peg into. So yeah, you just want to make sure that it pushes through all the way. There's not just into the knee. It can be a little bit tricky, but it's, you know, you can test it multiple times and make sure that it's alright before you do this, and you know, you end up with a wonky knee. Another thing to mention is again about orientation of the pieces. So this leg I orient it with this face down because it's an area that has no decoration, so it adds texture to it again. And then yeah, it's just, you know, the other details are coming out more nicely, and the peg is done nicely as well. Another reason to have this face down instead of like this is because when this peg is getting printed, for example, I find that sometimes, especially with weak filament, like the gray filament that I printed for the prototype, it will snap. And that is because when it's printing in circles, and it's not, let's say, creating a strong structure here, because you're using it, you know, this way, and then you're pulling away, and then it pulls away from the original structure. So if you're printing it this way instead, when it comes to print this bit, it's gonna print, you know, the layer by layer this way and create a very strong peg. So depending on the filament and depending on how you orientate your pieces, you might find that these pegs are more or less strong, and you know, it might cause pain. It causes me a lot of pain every time that one of these pegs breaks off, especially on the prototype figure. I'll show you in a minute. So this is the prototype figure, and I can show you here what I mean with this. So that's the arm that comes off. So this is the peg that comes under the Firestation. So now I print this with this face up because of the details, so I risk having this back being a bit weak and it can break like that. But that's your filament. This red filament is nice and strong, and this bag is super good. So either dry your filament or make sure that you have a strong filament. This gray matte filament was really weak to build structures, and it caused that. So be careful. For the foot, we do have a hole that goes all the way through. So we need a piece of filament that is long enough. So maybe test it, make sure that, you know, that's long enough. It's actually not gonna need all the way through. It's only gonna need like to here. So that's fine. But I would recommend to start from the front, pushing through. And this one is about to snap, so that's not a good idea to push it through. So yeah, push this through all the way. And here I'm finding some resistance from the foot, for example, so sometimes repositioning it makes the holes align better and things like that, or even tilting it up a bit might make the hole go through. And if nothing works, then you know, you want to make sure that there's nothing blocking the holes. For example, this one, there is a little bit of debris maybe in here that didn't clear. Yeah, but it fits. So the other test is to be able to see through. I don't seem to see through this one, but no, the hole is there, so we should be able to push through eventually. And I'll go do this off camera. So here we go, I got the filament through, so I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna chop it off from here, and this is done. And then we can do the other legs the same. A little bit of glue, and that's it. So that's all the pieces glued. We have the head, we have the legs, the arm, the orange arm with the cannon, and the carriage, and the legs. So that's it for really the assembly. We just need to start turning this into something that looks like either a robot or a fire station or a tank. I'm gonna start from the tank mode. I'll need to wait for this to dry first, but I'm gonna start from the tank mode, and then we're gonna go into the fire station mode, and then finally we're going into the robot mode. And maybe we can also see some playability with other figures, like again the Earthrise, weaponizers, or things like that. I'm planning to make more of these guys. I have already ideas for 3 more. One is going to be a remake of the petrol station, since Hasbro also made a bad job of that. And then I have 2 ideas for 2 completely custom bases that have the same idea. But you know, if you have any ideas, or you would like to see something that Hasbro did and you think that I can do it better, then leave in the comments below. And yeah, I'll take it in consideration on this for sure. But yeah, this is the assembly part. So we can put aside all the tools now and all the filament. We got all the pieces nicely glued and ready to go for transformation. So we said that we're gonna start from the Firestation mode. Now the Firestation mode has, you know, parts like the cannon that were not really visible in the original toy, and they would hide inside the turret practically. I don't have that transformation part, so instead, you know, we can have some of the extra bits and bobs to turn the cannon into something else. but you will see in a moment what I mean. So obviously the Firestation has this as the centerpiece. We're gonna have the garage in view, but what we need to start with is we want to start with the base. So the base is gonna be made out of the arm, the red arm, let's call it, and the legs. So I'm gonna push this through, make sure that it's all the way in, so that it doesn't affect the transformation. And then, as you can see, there is a peg and a port here, and there is a port and a peg here. So again, this you need to make sure that they're fitting nicely. Mine's came out quite fitting out of the box, out of the printer I should say. So you want to make sure that they're nice and snug. Same on the other side. You can still see some glue there because I just finished gluing it. But you know, this is the base of the tank slash fire station. Now you will have the port here connecting here for the road that goes up to the fire station. Then you want this peg to go into this leg like this, and you want the garage to go on this side in this port. And you can see already this is practically done. And the tower, you want to face it forward, so maybe you can push this back down a bit and plug this in, and voila, this is the Firestation mode already. Now the extra bits that are not shown, there is storage, let's say, for everything. So the Firestation, for example, you can put the head in here and hide it in both tank and Firestation mode, and that kind of completes, if you want to look from the back as well a little bit. The tank treads, you can do what you want with it. I just leave them the way they would be in tank mode. So I plug them under the feet, and I don't know, gives a little bit of extra stability to the fire station as well when you're sitting it there. And then last but not least, with the legs, we got the sport here. And yeah, you can kind of do what you want with this piece. I like to do something like adding it in here, and then we can have some sort of, I don't know, heat pipe or something. Oop. So I'm trying to do it without touching the glue because it's still freshly glued. But as you can see, there is storage for everything. There is the road, typical orange road that comes with this toy. If you want it on the side, because that's what the original toy had, you can do this as well, although it's not as nicely looking. It's designed to go here because, I don't know, I liked it better there. And yeah, this is the fire station mode. Now to go to tank mode is not that difficult because we built already the base. We just need to turn everything around, which is kind of what you did with the old toy as well, right? You just turn it around and flip things around. So the head still needs to sit in there, but this time the fire station is gonna plonk itself in here and become the turret. Now you can orient this as you like, as usual. Also, this piece can be used to maybe, I don't know, tow truck another base or something. I know that there are, I think, Trailbreaker that has a connector port that you can pull things with. I'm not sure if Huffer does. I don't remember, but I'll have to check that later. But I remember there was a figure that had a tow truck mode, so maybe you can pull it, or this can pull the other. I don't know. You know, your toys, you have options. The cannon obviously goes here if he wants to stick there today. Earlier it was fighting me. And then this, remember, we push through and we have the peg. So the peg here is designed to go here so that it's flush with the turret, right? And then this bit here, again, it's a bit extra, so you can leave it hanging here if you want, or you can, you know, hide it, or you can use it to store somebody's weapons or to touch something else. Again, options. So this is the tank mode, all done. And just in case you're worried, I did try and put some figures in there to command it, and it kinda looks alright. I mean, even the original toy didn't really look the greatest, but it does look like he's piloting it. Although I don't know what the garage door could do with piloting it. Maybe I don't know, maybe the commands are on the side or something. But, you know, as far as tank mode goes, this is it. So finally, we add the new transformation, which is the robot mode. Oh, I should have shown you earlier, but if you take the garage and open it, you can easily fit a figure in it underneath it. So if I were to transform this guy quickly, oops, if this guy doesn't pop his leg off, what am I doing? Straighten your legs, tank, connect. Right, this guy, maybe it's too tall, but okay, this guy can easily fit underneath the garage, and you know, you can leave him in there poking out or something. So yeah, the garage can garage. Now for the robot mode, we should take things apart a bit. We can leave the garage with the door up. We push this down, and that's gonna be the jacket. I call it the jacket. I know it doesn't work as a jacket, but you know, he's a firefighter dude, so fire dude. So it's gonna have a fireproof jacket. This, oh, the hand came out on its own. Arm, cannon. Now, this is where I think this transformation is neat. The fire station fits in here. This peg actually has a groove so that you can easily slide this all the way in. And as you can see, as you move this forward, it stops where the holes should align, so that when you put the arms through, it's gonna lock the body so that it doesn't slip like that. So we're gonna do that in a moment. We're gonna put the upper leg area, let's call it, and then the head goes up here like this. So yeah, even the head is in 105mm peg. So my idea was that all my figures are gonna feature that, so that you can do a head swap kind of situation as well. Yeah, because I'm a fan of headmasters. So we want to prepare the arm to go into the body, prepare the cannon to go into there, and then yeah, I can show you this now, because yeah, you can have probably something like this happening as well, either in tank mode, or I don't know, robot mode or whatever. But this is the arm with the cannon. Probably need to figure out what needs sanded down, because that's fighting me a little bit. Taking apart the base, so this can be put aside really. There is two ways to store it in the figure. I'm going to show you in a moment, both on the back or on the arm. These are going to become the shoulder pads, because that's the way I like it officially to be look. Now I want to underline there is an Outboard logo here. I made it sure that, you know, it was clear there was an Outboard. There is an Outboard logo on the helm as well, but you know, obviously filament printers will not show that as much. So anyway, this is, you know, the tricky part where that needs to peg through, and as you can see, that is now locked. Same on this side, but it's not as long, so it might not lock it from this side, but you should. So that's why you need to make sure that, you know, as you can see, it's holding the arms up very well. Even if there was a weapon there, it will hold everything very well. I can probably put this guy in there. Yeah, that fits a 5mm port weapon as well. So that's for the arms, and let's do the shoulders. So the shoulders, I like to have this detail be shown at the front, so they peg in there like that. And yeah, it's not flush, but I like it anyway. Somebody could turn it into, I don't know, some other position, or you know, whatever you want to do with them really, or on the legs or whatever, but officially I think the look should be this. And even if it's not flashy, it allows you, you know, some movement with the arm without affecting the rest of the figure. Now for the feet, you don't really need to extend the knees if you don't want to. If you want to keep it a bit shorter, I think that the knee is more for the range of motion here. If you want to have, you know, there's a 90 degrees at least range of motion or more, there is space here for the knee to really go 90 degrees on one side already if you want to. So yeah, I just want to give that range of motion. But so anyway, I like to put the legs with a little bit of tiltage because it gives it a bit more stability. You can see even on their own they're fairly stable. So all you're left to do is to plug them in, and voila, we have Fire Dude in robot mode, and I love him. I really like how it came out. I hope you will like it as well. I like to put this here because it kind of looks like a, I don't know, heat shield or something like that. You could put it this other way as well, and then maybe bend this so that it looks like it's holding it. Or if you don't like that idea, there is storage at the back now, so that you can leave it like this, or you can use that storage for a weapon or something, or you can put it upside down and connect something else. Again, options. You can do what you want. Let's leave it there for now. So here we go, Fire Dude with the robot mode. Now to compare it, this is the original from Hasbro. Not the original version of this, but an original toy from Hasbro. Kinda tower it a little bit, it's you know, maybe an inch taller. The shoulder pads make it look much taller than it is, but you know, because all the ports are 5mm ports, you can swap arms, you can swap maybe the legs as well. Depends on the connectors. These connectors are a bit weird because they fit through, so, but you know, you have playability between these figures as well, or you can weaponize this figure with this by using all the ports that are available on the arms as well. There is, you know, various ports that are used for combination and transformation. They become ports for weaponizing. The legs have ports inside and at the back, which is a bit unusual. Usually they're on the outside, but you know, because of transformation, you have, you know, the bottom of the tank details and things like that here. But yeah, I think that this is the end of the video. So again, if you have suggestions, comments, let me know in this video. If you have problems and you purchase the figure on Cult3D and you have problems and you want to bring them up with me, please do so through Cult3D directly. I want to make sure that everybody can enjoy this figure as much as I do. And again, if you want to know the filament colors that I used, I mean, there is so many brands and variants out there, so there isn't really one that I would recommend. But yeah, I get all my filament from AliExpress. There is a combination of matte and silk filament in here. I think the red was a bit more like a silk red rather than just a matte red, but everything else, the black is silk as well, but the blue and the orange are just plain PLA standard. So if you purchase the figure, thank you for purchasing it. This is my first design ever that I completed for a transformer figure. I've done other stuff on Cult3D. You're welcome to look at it. I have some transformer bits. There is something like a Headmaster minifigure that I created that is available for free. That's not my original design. I only modified how it prints and some of the joints so that it's easier to assemble. I was exploring doing more print in place joints at the time, so yeah, be careful. It's a bit experimental, that's why it's free. I also have a face for Zarek on Cult3D. I have a prototype here that I can show you. Print in gray and white. So this is the Headmaster. It kind of fits with the looks and everything of the old Headmasters, and even in the back weapon and everything is designed to have, you know, the power levels and everything. And then this piece is print in place so that when you fold it back and forward, it's already there. You just need to fray from some supports and that's it. And yeah, it has more mobility because in fact this is the earlier prototype. I made it so that knee joints are print in place so they don't look this ugly, and I made the joints ball joints so that you can lift the arms up and things like that. So this was the original design actually, that is not mine and it's falling apart. But yeah, enjoy. So this is it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.